The Tour of Britain gets underway. Stellar performance here then by Bradley Wiggins. Simon Yates coming up to the line. What a ride! Oh! What a tight finish that was.
Hello, welcome to the 2017 OVO Energy Tour of Britain. We're at stage 6. The crew are starting to run low on clean clothes. The riders are really going to be feeling it in their legs. But you know what? It might be wet and a little bit cooler here in Aldeburgh on the Suffolk coast, but the racing is about to heat up after yesterday's shakedown in the time trial. Last man on GC, and so first man down the time trial ramp was JLT Condor's Graham Briggs in his Iceberg Sprint skin suit. He would never trouble the result, but this man could. And CCC Sprandi Polkovic's Marcin Bielobloski posted a strong early time of 19 minutes and 34 seconds for the 16-kilometre course. For sprinters like Mark Cavendish, they just wanted to get this stage out of the way, but plenty meant business. Like Bike Channel Canyon's strong young racer Harry Tanfield. He was in the mix on the previous day's sprint finish, and in Clacton the 22-year-old went 6 seconds faster than the more experienced Bielobloski. Former world champion Vasil Kirienka posted a strong time, as did his Sky teammates Michal Kwiatkowski and Geraint Thomas, the Welshman happy with his effort coming back from injury. But then Lotto NL Jumbo's Victor Camponet showed everyone why he is European time trial champion. His time of 19 minutes 8 seconds was a second faster than Kirienka, and try as they might, the biggest names like Kung, Dowsett and world champion Tony Martin could not get him out of the chair. The man who eventually managed it would be his teammate and former Tour of Britain winner Lars Boom.
Look at the clock now for Lars Boom, battling with everything that he's got now. Lars Boom up towards the line. We're going to have a new fastest time. Boom takes the lead, 19:02.500. Stage 5 of the OVO Energy Tour of Britain goes to Lars Bohm, 19:02.500. Campenart's his teammate at 6 seconds. Kirienka, Kung, Van Emden, Tony Martin, Kwiatkowski, Thomas, Dowsett and Durbridge, all of the big names that we were touting as potential favourites for the time trial today, all in the top 10. So Lars Bohm of Lotto Jumbo takes over at the top of the general classification, but with time bonuses still available over the last 3 stages. The winner of the 2017 OVO Energy Tour of Britain is far from certain.
Rain or shine, Aldeburgh here on the Suffolk coast is a very pretty little town. It's famous for being the burial place of a certain composer. So Yanto, today you're going to be Benjamin Britten to my Benjamin Button. A really interesting time trial yesterday. We knew when we looked at all the stages of this year's tour that would be the place where everything would change.
Yeah, we did. We saw a shake-up, and I think that's going to be an exciting change now to the composition of the racing and who's going in the breakaways, because there will be some riders looking to get up a place or two on the GC classification, and they only have a couple of stages to do it.
Did Lars Boom catch you by surprise?
I didn't expect him to win, to be fair.
No, what about Harry Tanfield? He did a great job as well.
Yeah, on one gear. So I don't know if everybody heard that, but Di2 had a problem and so screwed off his gears to just one gear, all the way out, all the way back, no changes.
Yeah, apparently it was 58.13. Just imagine pushing that round if you can. Let's hear now from some of the main riders who were involved yesterday, starting with the Adnams Best British Rider on GC. It's Geraint Thomas.
Just being realistic, I think it's tough to get 19 seconds back on someone like Lars Boom. He's quick, you know, he can get bonus seconds a lot better than me. And just the route doesn't quite lend itself to my type of race, really.
Of course, we would like to try something, but we have to pick up pretty much one day or part of the stage when we can really try and go. We want to try to help Elia to win the stages, and that's our main objective.
It's hard to get back the seconds on the GC, but we'll still try, and if we can manage to get some bonus seconds, it will be good.
Janto, clearly the riders who can do a time trial were up for yesterday, but plenty of them were just wanting to get it out of the way. Mark Cavendish was trying to raise the crowd's spirits on the start line. Caleb Ewan just squeaked in under the time limit there, and he finished his time trial on his road bike.
Yeah, it's obviously, we focus on the strongest contenders in a time trial, but everyone has to get through, and there is a time limit, and time trials can actually sometimes make that time limit quite a difficult one to get through if you're not one of the strongest riders. So there were a few riders, notably Caleb Ewan, one of the biggest names, who did just scrape in just in time.
Today's stage should suit the likes, though, of Caleb Ewan and Viviani and Gaviria, because it is pretty much pan flat, finishing here on the Suffolk seaside.
Stage 6 of the OVO Energy Tour of Britain starts suitably outside the Jockey Club in the famous racing town of Newmarket. The peloton gallops east towards Bury St Edmunds and the first sprint in Ixworth. For the Iceberg Sprints classification, there are 2 more chances to consolidate or gain ground at Stradbroke and Kesgrave, just outside the town of Ipswich. There is one Cat 3 climb at Snape before the peloton enters the pretty seaside town of Aldeburgh and the finish on its high street. Newmarket is known as the home of British horse racing and holds 2 of the 5 major races on the calendar. James I built Newmarket Palace back in the 17th century, making this a royal resort and thus a horse racing centre. Aldeburgh means Old Fort, and it was where Sir Francis Drake's Golden Hind was built. It was also the home of composer Benjamin Britten. Much of the Tudor town has been lost to the North Sea over the years, but it remains a thriving and popular coastal holiday destination.
As we head towards the last 3 stages of this year's Tour of Britain, and Cardiff looming in the distance, it's going to be fascinating now to see how the World Tour riders, the very big hitters in the peloton, try and control things. Let's hand over now to our commentary team of Brian Smith and Marty McDonald.
Thanks, Matt. Stage 6 of the 2017 OVO Energy Tour of Britain. There is your race leader, Lars Bohm. You can see that OVO Energy green jersey just under his rain jacket. Just next to him is Jacob Scott, leader of the Skoda King of the Mountains. Graham Briggs here in the red Iceberg Sprints jersey. And Elia Viviani will wear today the Wiggle Points jersey. He leads in that classification ahead of Alexander Kristoff. Caleb Ewan will be looking for the sprinters to come through to the start again. You can see the riders just suited up against the cold. Today's stage, just one Skoda King of the Mountains for the riders. Just a gentle rise out of Snape, and that comes with 18 kilometres to go. And Suffolk aiming to become England's most active counties. Great shot there of the Newmarket racecourse. If you're a fan of horse racing, you will know it well. It's definitely going to be a fast one today. A lot of teams. Perfect scenario for Lotto and El Jumbo today would be some riders that are very low down on the general classification. No threat to Lars Bohm getting into that breakaway, taking all those bonus seconds and letting that go all the way to the line, because what they don't want to do is have the sprints. Edvald Boasson-Hagen, as we've seen, is on phenomenal sprinting form so far this week. He's only 19 seconds down, but for everyone else, it's not what they want today.
No, Boasson-Hagen and Team Dimension Data can afford to kind of sit back and try and control things for potential bonus sprints and the sprint at the end. When you look at Owen Doull, he's at 29 seconds in 13th position, just outside the top 10. He's an option for Team Sky to try and put the pressure on. They have to put the pressure on Lotto and El Jumbo. And, with so many options, Kwiatkowski is not finished yet. I'm sure he'll go on the attack. But I've marked some danger men. I think Sylvain Delia as well, 54 seconds. He's a sort of an attacking rider. Joey Roscoff is in there as well, 43 seconds. But Stefan Kung, we've already seen him attack in the first few kilometres a couple of days ago as well. He's up for the fight. He's sitting in 4th place, only at 10 seconds. But I think Dowsett, Mullen and Van Baar would be wanting to attack as well.
The car pulls away and we are racing here on stage 6 of the OVO Energy Tour of Britain. 186.9 kilometres The racing is underway, and you can see, as per previous days, as soon as that flag drops, the attacks come thick and fast. Madison Genesis, the first jersey to try and get away. We also caught a glimpse there of Ian Bibby. Connor Swift, the man that was in the breakaway on day one. And we can expect to see some of the riders that have already been on the offensive in this year's race. You can see Graham Briggs up here with Karol Domagalski, just trying to go clear. Laurence de Plus in the blue and whites of Quick Step Floors. He is here. Rory Townsend just moving up on the left there, so plenty of attacks from the gun. Patrick Bevan moving up here in the green from Cannondale Drapac. We've seen him and Hugh Carthy very much to the front through that rollout, and Bevan now through to the front. The New Zealander just takes a look back over his shoulder, and these are the guys that we can watch out for. Patrick Bevan, he sits 21st overall, 54 seconds off the lead. And Hugh Carthy, yesterday, good time trial, but Hugh Carthy still sitting 33rd, just 1:15 down.
Yeah, good time trial. And yeah, Cannondale looking to get in the mix. As you said, Bevan's there. Also Madison Genesis towards the front with their French rider Alex Blaine just leading through this roundabout. You can just see the yellow jerseys of Lotto NL Jumbo towards the front, just controlling things. That's what they want to do. This is a very nervous part of the day when the flag drops. Everybody trying to get in the breakaway, everybody looking, and you know, nervous times for many. But yeah, everybody has been waiting for this time trial yesterday. Now everybody knows where they are. There's a lot of doors open for plenty of attacking racing.
Welcome back to stage 6 of the 2017 OVO Energy Tour of Britain, the 14th edition of this race, 186.9 kilometres from Newmarket, finishing in Aldeburgh today. Our peloton into Bury St Edmunds. And the peloton will pass near the British Sugar Factory as well, so during the sugar beet campaign. So 660 lorries of beet can be accepted each day, and they're sold under the Silver Spoon brand. So that's a very important area for sugar, is Bury St Edmunds. I remember it from being in the team car in the women's tour back in 2015. A lot of chat again amongst this group. Tanfield's just rolling through. The peloton just moving past St Edmundsbury Cathedral. So they're very close to that. We're 143.6 to go. Ixworth comes at 135.3. So we're not far away from our first Aldeburgh sprint of the day. And that will show us just this breakaway group, how they're going to play this one. Are they going to battle it out for those all-important points? Or are they going to try and just keep that fluidity, that continuity of movement in that breakaway group and just ride through them? So they'll kind of show us how this is going to sit up for the next few days. In terms of the breakaway group, Graham Briggs 15 points, just 1 point separating him and Mark McNally. Karol Domagalski is in third at 6 points in that classification. Harry Tanfield is 10th. He's having got some points on the opening day. He just took 3 points early on in this one.
With this first Aldeburgh sprint of the day is coming up very soon. It'll be interesting to see how they play this out with 1 kilometre to go. Whether they're going to kind of waste some energy kind of sprinting for it, or whether they're going to keep the momentum going and you know, try and not lose too much time and energy.
Into Ixworth for sprint 1 of the day. The Aldeburgh red, white and blue jersey being worn today by Graham Briggs. We saw him early on in the stage trying to get in to the breakaway yet again. Didn't manage it today. 15 points he has in that classification ahead of Mark McNally, just 1 point separating the first to 9 maximum points on offer today if someone does manage to take all of the sprints. Harry Tanfield has 3 points from a previous day. We'll see, as Brian said, whether they're going to battle this one out or they're going to ride through into Ixworth. There's Hayden McCormack going to try and sprint it out for this one. For McCormack, he's got a lot to gain from those bonus seconds at 1:14. And Hayden McCormack now sets himself up for the sprint to the line as they come out. Hayden McCormack now being challenged on the line. McCormack looks like he could have taken that from Regan Goff. So a good sprint there. So the rest of the breakaway will just now get themselves back together. We'll bring you confirmation of that one as soon as we had it.
Yeah, it did look as if it was a late sprint there. They were leaving it as late as possible. And it did look as if McCormack just nudged that one away from Regan Goff in the green from Ann Post. Chain reaction with Harry Tanfield in 3rd place for Big Channel Canyon.
So Harry picks up another point. Let's have a slow-mo of the sprint.
Yeah, it was a late one, not extending too much energy. McCormack, everything to gain, best placed in the general classification. I think just holding off Goff here on the right-hand side as the line came up with Tanfield in 3rd place there.
3, 2 and 1 points, 3, 2 and 1 seconds. So that pulls Hayden McCormack back to 1 minute and 11. So just to explain those bonus seconds, they get taken off the rider's time. So he went into the stage at 1 minute and 14. So he's pulled back 3 seconds on Lars Bohm. Inside 100 kilometres to go of today's stage of 186.9. Stradbroke is our next target. 97.6 to go is the line in Stradbroke for the next Iceberg sprint of the day. Hayden McCormack taking the first one ahead of Regan Goff and Harry Tanfield. Harry Tanfield not back in our breakaway group as of yet. So as it stands, this group is Hayden McCormack of One Pro Cycling, Jacob Hennessy of the Great Britain Cycling Team, Regan Goff of Onpost Chain Reaction, Connor Swift of Madison Genesis, James Shaw of Lotto Soudal, and Enrico Barbine of Bardiani CSF. He really the experienced head within this breakaway group, got it organised early on in the stage. But Harry Tanfield, your big powerhouse of a time trialist after yesterday's stage, and I'm sure it won't be long until we see him, and there he is, right on schedule. Harry from Bike Channel Canyon gets himself onto the back of the group. There's still a little bit of season left. Do you think Harry may have an opportunity, if any of the teams might still have a Stagiaire spot available, that they might give someone like that a run out, even though it's this late in the season?
Yeah, I don't think so. Most of the Stagiaires are already taken up in the 1st of August and normally kind of set up. Pro, Continental and World Tour teams are allowed 3 riders, and I think they're already allocated. So it's going to be a tough decision, I think, and I would encourage him to stay where he is because he's obviously doing something right.
1 kilometre to go to the next Iceberg sprint of the day, and Harry Tanfield's team car just comes up alongside him just to have a bit of a word. So Hayden McCormack out of the saddle, number 14 there from One Pro Cycling. Jacob Hennessy's looking for his team car on this one.
Yeah, it's very difficult, and I don't think they'll be allowed to come up normally inside the last kilometre of King of the Mountains or a sprint point. No team cars are allowed to come up, so I don't think he'll get any service before the sprint line.
Connor Swift on the front, followed by James Shaw and Regan Goff. Hayden McCormack up on the outside. He's already pulled back 3 seconds on the first sprint. He's now 1 minute and 11 seconds down on Lars Bohm, and looking like he wants to try and take this one. Harry Tanfield just moves up as well, just towards the wheel of Hayden McCormack. So all of the riders just looking for the banner across the road to go for the sprint.
Yeah, it looks as if it's been organised now. I don't think we'll get the same sprint as we had just before.
Harry Tanfield, though, just opens up the sprint. Hayden McCormack is on him. McCormack's got to be vigilant here at the front. It's Harry Tanfield from Connor Swift, James Short. McCormack trying to get up to take some bonus seconds, but as they cross the line, it looked like it was between Connor Swift and Harry Tanfield, with Hayden McCormack there. I think the charge there from Harry Tanfield took Hayden McCormack a little bit by surprise.
It looked as if Madison Genesis rider Connor Swift may have just taken that close in the end. I think it's Madison Genesis rider Connor Swift takes that from Tanfield, from I think it's McCormack in the third place this time.
James Short was looking like he was going to take some points, but Hayden McCormack takes another second, so that will put him 1 minute and 10 seconds down on Lars Bohm. So little by little, he's just eating into the deficit that he has here. Beautiful shot here of Framlingham Castle. Beautiful 12th century castle surrounded by parklands and estates. Once a Norman powerhouse and then home for the poor in the 17th century. If you're a music fan, you might recognise the name. This was referenced by Ed Sheeran in his #1 single, Castle on the Hill, which he calls a love song to Suffolk. We're going to take a short break. Join us again. Back soon. Welcome back to stage 6 of the 2017 OVO Energy Tour of Britain. Our breakaway group, Harry Tanfield for Bike Channel Canyon. Again, another day, another breakaway for Tanfield. He's well up there. Great time trial yesterday. If you were with us throughout today, Harry Tanfield, 58.13 monster gear that he had to roll in the individual time trial yesterday. Our breakaway group, 1K to go to the final iceberg sprint of the day in Kesgrave. The first one, Hayden McCormack made sure that he took maximum bonus seconds at that point. He sits 1 minute and 10 seconds off the lead. There he is, the One Pro Cycling rider in that white, black and light blue jersey. He's looked like he sat back a little bit, was expecting the rider to maybe let him roll through that sprint point on the front. Harry Tanfield, though, has been scoring good points after previous days in the breakaway. McCormack just looking over the top of the riders, just trying to see where the line is and pick his point to go.
Yeah, you can just see Hayden McCormack. He is sitting back a little bit. He tried to take the second one from the front. And now propped on the front is Enrico Barbin of Bardiani, the most experienced rider in this breakaway, but they're still rolling through. But I think the One Pro rider is looking to try and get maximum points in this one.
Hayden McCormack out the saddle. Jacob Hennessy for the Great Britain cycling team. He's going to be the first rider to go. Jacob Hennessy now goes. Hayden McCormack in the wheel. Harry Tanfield is there as well. Hennessy is a great sprinter and he's leading this one out. McCormack is right in the slipstream and Hennessy takes that one, the final one of the day from Hayden McCormack and Harry Tanfield. And a good move there by Hennessy. When you look at the race today, after that time trial, it has shaken up the general classification. And you look at this race going forward with the smaller six-man teams, it's a lot harder to control. And this race is going to be, you can see it, very, very difficult to control.
It was very difficult to control at the start, and Lotto NL Jumbo done a very good job. Okay, they allowed Hayden McCormack down the road. He's at 1:14 and he's taken back 6 seconds, so 1:08 now. But it does look as if they've done a very good job of bringing the gap down towards the end. Then the sprinters teams have taken over, because stage 1 in the OVO Energy Tour of Britain is something to be had, and there's a lot of teams without that victory, especially the riders in red at the front of Katusha, thinking of Christoph. So they're obviously looking at the opportunities here of any attacks happening. I think there still will be somebody, maybe a few riders. Team Sky have yet to show anything at all. So it's going to be an interesting run-in whether Team Sky, you can just see them at the bottom of the screen starting to move up towards the front of the peloton.
The only Skoda King of the Mountains point of today. You can see it's a gentle rise out of Snape. It's a category 3 climb. And it's on post chain reaction that lead this classification with Jacob Scott, Enrico Barbine through to the front for Bardiani CSF. It's going to be interesting to see here whether they actually battle it out for the points or whether they try and just keep the fluidity of movement of the breakaway, and they don't want to mess this one up. They've got a good time gap here with 18.5 to go. If they go through 15 kilometers with still over a minute and a half, then we start to look that it could be touch and go, that they could hang on to the finish.
Yeah, looking good, and I don't think they will start to play around here. Nothing too much to gain. 4, 3, 2 and 1 points for the first 4 riders across the line at the top. We may see, because some of these riders have been riding hard for the last few kilometres. If we hit this climb, we may see some reaction from some of the riders in the peloton.
As the breakaway group looking for the summit of the King of the Mountains points. So the leader of the King of the Mountains classification has 26 points. So any of these riders that take maximum points outside of Snape really not going to make a dent in the King of the Mountains jersey of Jacob Scott. And what a great race he's had so far. As they come up towards the summit, Harry Tanfield and James Shaw are going to sprint it out for this one. James Shaw is going to cross the line there. Shaw takes that from Tanfield and Goff. So just straight on after Snape. We've gone past the Snape maltings. And we now head up towards Leiston and head round after Saxmundham. That will be the next target. So a very similar route to we had for the Energy Tour of Britain today that we had for the Women's Tour. Theo Geoghegan-Hart now up towards the front for Team Sky. Big question here, will they work for Elia Viviani, or might they change it, shift it up a little bit and give Owain Doull an opportunity to sprint for the stage today? Owain Doull, very fast finisher is the Welshman, and sits very high on the general classification. Does Owain Doull at 28 seconds. So if Owain Doull could win the stage, pull back 10 seconds in time bonuses on the line, it gives Team Sky yet another card to play in this race.
Yeah, this is a fast tempo now. We're going up this climb. Very difficult to get any King of the Mountains on this stage today. It's rolling roads with no real climbs, but decided to put one in here. 18 kilometres go to the finish, and it's still all lined out. You can just see the tempo at the front been set by Katusha, Orica Scott, and now Team Sky have come up to help out. This is going to be a fast final 18 kilometres.
It is indeed. They're still holding 1:17 as the peloton swing right and left through this section. Saxmundham, the next town along the route, then into Leiston, and you've got a fast run in towards the final kilometres of today's stage. After 2 kilometres to go, there's a roundabout and a left-hander just before the Flamme Rouge, and that little short descent into the final turn of today. And then a nice fast run towards the line, 600 metres from the final corner up towards the finish line in Aldeburgh. This is going to go in to the final few kilometres here.
The peloton now being led by Team Sky, Orica Scott and Katusha. It looks as if ever increasingly it's going to become a sprint today. So I very much doubt that we're going to see any action or any GC action at all. So the only thing is whether the likes of Edvard Boasson-Hagen can gain some bonus seconds to move up in the general classification, because he is the only danger for Lars Boom when it comes down to the sprint finishes at the end.
Here we are, this is the K to go. It's a slight drag and a slight tailwind right here, but all the teams will have their lead out guys lined up, and they'll be doing probably still 50 k's an hour. Good road surface, pretty straight here, and it continues straight until around 500 to go. Positioning is vital at this stage. before we start hitting the corners, because it's much harder to move up once you get corners. The guys will be doing close to 60 k's an hour. Right, cresting the drag here, right next to the church. First a little left-hander, and then here's the 500 meters to go. And we go down a short descent. This is quite steep, and it will need everyone's full attention. I'm going pretty steady. It's been blowing dry, wet and dry this afternoon. It would not surprise me if one of the guys misjudged that and they're in the barriers on the left-hand side. 300 meters to go. It's a slight headwind, so the guys will have to time it right. The surface is good, and it's completely straight to the line, so here we are, 200 to go. Expect to see the last push, full gas, all the way to the line, and I'm going to give it a little sprint, see if I can beat the car.
So the head of the race now down to 5 riders: McCormick, Goff, Hennessy, Swift and Shaw. Those are your group. James Shaw looking around, really trying to keep the pressure. He's getting very frustrated here, James Shaw.
Yeah, he's one of the strongest of the 5 that are left in the front of the race, and you know, when you're attacking, you're pushing hard, you want some effort from the breakaway behind, but they're starting to tire. But it's Mikhail Kwiatkowski on the front. He's got some help from Luke Durbridge and Michael Hepburn straight up there. So it's only 2 riders, Kwiatkowski and Durbridge, trying to bring these riders back. 17 seconds as Geraint Thomas starts to move up as well.
Geraint Thomas is bringing Elia Viviani up towards the front. Viviani, you're watching out for today. That Wiggle Points jersey, the black and orange jersey with the Union Jack as the points competition in this race. Viviani leading Alexander Kristoff in that classification by 2 points. Here comes CCC Sprandi in those orange jersey. Alan Banaszczak is their man as Theo Gegenhardt of Sky tries to come back up to the front just to maybe give another pull to try and pull this breakaway back.
Yeah, he's not finished yet. He wants to help out as much as possible. He realises that there's still 5 riders down the road at 14 seconds. He wants to try and help out. A turn for Mikhail Kwiatkowski, and still Durbridge is fighting to keep the wheel as well. So, but these 5 riders are still hanging on to a slender advantage, but I don't think it's going to be enough in the last 5 kilometres.
5k to go. You can see our breakaway group still hanging on out in front. The peloton are in sight. Connor Swift battles on for Madison Genesis, flicks the elbow. Jacob Hennessy of the Great Britain cycling team, that Union Jack helmet. He's had a great season so far, Hennessy. Here comes James Shaw through towards the front. It's 10 seconds, but it looks like similar to our stage into Newark-on-Trent. It might just be within 3 kilometres where this group comes back. Orica Scott are on the front, down to 10 seconds. There are lots of little rises as Regan Goff has one last-ditch effort to try and get away. The under-23 road race and time trial champion of New Zealand is on Post Chain Reaction team. They've had a great race so far. They lead that Skoda King of the Mountains competition. So the run down through 3 kilometres to go. They'll see 2k to go, a roundabout and a left turn up towards the Flamme Rouge, a slight rise and then a descent down to the final turn with 600 to go. As all of the sprinters teams try to bring their men up towards the front, but we see that Swiss jersey of Sylvain Dillier up there as well. But is James Shaw going to have one more go here for Lotto Soudal?
Yeah, going on the left-hand side, just when I thought that Regan Goff may merit the most aggressive rider, James Shaw comes through. He's riding at a higher level of racing at World Tour level. Rode in the front pretty much all of last year's Tour of Britain to help out Andre Greipel, and is pushing on. 3.5 kilometres to go, and it's Orica Scott in the yellow helmets at the front.
This road as well does this. It just rocks and rolls all the way down towards the finish in Aldeburgh today. There's lots of little rises, just like that one where there's has opportunities to try and springboard and attack. Your solo leader now. He's been away since 15 kilometres of today's stage. James Shaw, the British rider from Lotto Soudal, trying to hang on towards the finish, but up towards the front. Here comes Alex Dowsett.
Alex Dowsett is looking at an opportunity here. He's been sitting in the peloton all day. James Shaw shakes his head. He may get the most aggressive rider, but this is a danger for the general classification. Disappointed after the time trial yesterday, but on the attack.
Alex Dowsett of Team Movistar, the man from Essex, sits in 10th overall, 23 seconds off the lead. 3 kilometres to go. He'll see 2 ahead of him. As we said, it's a fairly technical run in towards the finish. It does play well to a solo rider. As we see all of the teams, just those, it's been a tough day out there for these riders. It depends how many sprinters teams have still got a full complement of lead-out riders left near the front.
And some of them have already used up some of their matches already to bring the breakaway back. Philip Gilbert up there, is he looking for the potential of going on the attack, or is he looking after Gaviria? Looks as if they're looking after Gaviria with Stibar there, Ricchese and Gaviria all in one line. So Philip Gilbert doing a very good job. So are the other riders from the Lotto NL Jumbo team, keeping Lars Boom right towards the front.
Good move by Alex Dowsett, but it doesn't look like it's going to be today. Michael Hepburn just gradually upping the pace on the front. Kirienka just blows out his cheeks as he comes through to the front. Geraint Thomas on the wheel, followed by Theo Gegenhardt. And Mikhail Kwiatkowski is there through the centre. Here comes Philippe Gilbert of Quick Step Floors. 2 kilometres to go. Here come the BMC team. Mark Renshaw is there for Dimension Data. Has a look around just to see where Edvald Bosenhagen is. Alexander Kristoff in that white European Champions jersey with the K's on his sleeves just moves up to try and benefit from the lead out here of Fernando Gaviria. And it's Roger Kluge down the centre with that yellow helmet from Orica Scott, with Luca Mies gets right behind him. Dylan Groenewegen in the black and yellow of Lotto Jumbo is up towards the front. So all of our big sprinters still very much to the front.
Yeah, getting messy out there. Everybody fighting for position. Orica Scott have got the position at the front, and a little bit of pushing and shoving there from the team of Quick Step Floors. Gaviria has been lost from Ricchese, but very difficult to hold the front of the peloton now.
You saw there the battle to try and get through towards the front. Fernando Gaviria is just a little bit far back through this roundabout. Then the road goes up through Flamme Rouge. 1 kilometre to go now into Aldeburgh. They have a slight rise and a descent down to that final tight turn with 600 metres to go. Positioning is very important now. Philippe Gilbert on the front for Quick Step Floors. Luca Mies is still there with Caleb Ewan on the wheel. Fernando Gaviria just lost the lead out just momentarily, but he moves through towards the front. Denek Stibar on the front, Max Ricchese, followed by Luca Mies, who's still got his man Caleb Ewan right on the wheel, as here come Dimension Data as they try to bring it through for Edvald Bosenhagen. Stibar now lines up for the final corner. You just see spreading out across the road as they take the pressure on into the final turn with 600 to go. Stibar just hangs the foot out. Ricchese is there. He's got Caleb Ewan on the wheel. Pasqualon is there. Gaviria, Bosenhagen, all very much to the front. Caleb Ewan is going to have to hit out early. Caleb Ewan on the front. Fernando Gaviria on the wheel. Look at the speed now of Caleb Ewan. Is he going to take his 3rd stage victory of the OVO Energy Tour of Britain? Yes, he is. Caleb Ewan takes the stage. Fantastic victory yet again from the young Aussie.
3rd win in this year's OVO Energy Tour of Britain. As we see, Stibar, he's coming in. He's slightly uphill at the moment, but we go over the top of this small drag. You just see Mark Renshaw bringing up Edvald Bosenhagen, but at this moment in time, you can just see Ricchese. He looks behind. He's got Mies gets on the corner behind him, and Caleb Ewan goes into this corner in perfect position. Pasqualon comes up very quickly in the inside, round the corner, and Ricchese is there, Caleb Ewan, but Mies gets pushed out there. He just kind of sits up. Pasqualon, there's a gap already. He comes round Ricchese. Ricchese's looking for Gaviria. This time the wee man's away. Caleb Ewan is going down the roads, and although Gaviria comes back a little bit, there was only going to be one winner. When you give Caleb Ewan that amount of gap coming into the last couple of 100 metres.
So confirmation of Caleb Ewan's win into Aldeburgh ahead of Fernando Gaviria and Dylan Groenewegen, with another good result for JLT Condors Brenton Jones in 6th. Caleb Ewan takes to the podium again in Suffolk to confirm he is the fastest man at this year's OVO Energy Tour of Britain.
Another pretty tough day. Again, not really straightforward. The weather was pretty bad all day, so yeah, it was pretty tough. But again, the team rode so well, and you know, we stayed up near the front, out of trouble all day, and yeah, you know, as you probably saw on TV, they did a perfect job at the end.
No change in the general classification after the bunch sprint, with it all still to play for over the next 2 stages. Lars Bohm stays in green for another day thanks to all the hard work by Lotto NL Jumbo on the road today.
The boys did a great job. We had the whole race mostly under control, I think, and Kimmo Skoglis and Gijs did a great job. I think we were sitting quite easy behind, and they controlled quite good in the whole day.
European champion Alexander Kristoff takes over in the Wiggle points competition thanks to his 4th place on stage 6. Jacob Scott holds on to the Skoda King of the Mountains jersey, as does Graham Briggs in the Iceberg Sprints classification, with Geraint Thomas of Team Sky still the Adnams best placed British rider, lying 9th overall in GC.
So it ended in a fast sprint finish here into Aldeburgh, but there was plenty of hard work done before that in the break, not least by this man, Lotto Soudal's young Englishman, James Shaw. And James, you'll have the red numbers of the most combative rider on your back tomorrow, and certainly deserved. How was it out there in the break today?
It was a really tough day out. You know, it was wind played a big part, and you know, everyone raced really aggressively. So to be classed as, you know, the most committed of that peloton, yeah, makes me quite proud to do this at my home race.
4 Brits, 2 Kiwis and an Italian in that breakaway today, but you were the only World Tour rider. Do they give you any sort of extra special treatment because of that, or do they sort of, you know, make you do more turns?
Oh yeah, they make you do more turns. Definitely, you're expected to get on with it a bit more. But I think you can't underestimate these guys. You know, okay, you know, at the end of the day, teams and different classification of team and things like that. But these guys, whatever level you're at, you know, they train, you know, all day, every day to come here. So just because you fall into a different classification of team, you know, I've got a lot of respect for these guys, and I'm so glad that they brought the race to me and I took the race to them, and we could battle it out and give a class race for the spectators.
James, a great day in the break. I'm interested to know if you felt like you were the strongest before you attacked, and did you intend to be the last guy out there from the breakaways?
There was a point with 15k to go, the board came past and they said, you have 1:35. At this point I was like, oh, this is interesting, you know, I was feeling really good. You know, you never know how other people are feeling, and you have to play your cards right. But at that point I thought, oh, you know, generally I give a minute per 10 kilometres for the peloton to catch us, so the maths worked out almost perfectly. It's just 3k too far.
James, stay there for a second. Much more to come tomorrow. Let's have a look at stage 7 of this year's tour.
Hemel Hempstead sees the start of the penultimate stage in this year's OVO Energy Tour of Britain. Passing through 4 counties, there are 3 Iceberg Sprints classifications and 3 Skoda King of the Mountains competitions. The first climb is at Brill Hill in Buckinghamshire, followed by 2 sprints and a Cat 3 ascent in Gloucestershire, Broughton on the Water, Morton in Marsh and Broughton on the Hill. The final dash in Winchcombe is immediately followed by the climb up Cleeve Hill before the stage drops into the finish in Cheltenham.
James, it's really good to see you riding more for yourself this year. We saw you at last year's tour doing an awful lot of work on the front for Andre Greipel. What is the plan tomorrow heading towards Cheltenham?
I think we'll discuss this tonight between us. But we've come here with some young sprinting talent in the form of Enzo Wouters, and he's had I think even he will admit it's been a bit of a rough start to the season, and
as a neo-professional, if you haven't had a rough start, it's you know, you're a cracking rider. But he seems to have found his feet a little bit more now, and he was up there today in the sprints. He's had 2 top 10s now. Got over a bit of illness at the beginning of the race, so I think, you know, we're gonna give him a lot of commitment. You know, in a team with one of the world's best sprinters, it's rare that other sprinters get a lot of opportunities and things. So I think, you know, while he's got good legs, we want to commit full to him and try and put him up there.
But you and the rest of the World Tour teams, you've got to do something tomorrow, because the continental teams and the Pro Conti, they are hungry. You don't have to commit to that now.
Yeah.
We'll see what you do on the road. James,
Thank you.
many thanks indeed. You did all the hard work. For me and Janto, plain sailing, of course. We'll see you the other side of the Cotswolds live tomorrow morning on ITV4. Thanks for your company. Bye-bye for now.